Hello. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you're healthy and well. Welcome to Time to Pivot, creating, selling, and distributing merch, presented by Austin Music Foundation in partnership with El Famoso. My name is Johnny Gowdy, and I'll be your host for the evening. For those who are new to the Austin Music Foundation, a brief introduction. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose core mission is to strengthen, connect, and advance the local music industry and community. Founded in 2002, AMF remains the nation's only art service organization dedicated to providing no-cost, year-round music business training, educational resources, mentoring, and professional development to artists and creatives at all stages of their careers. AMF invests in the development of those who contribute to our city's economy and rich culture, helping to ensure that Austin's continued distinction as an artist-friendly town and the live music capital of the world now and in the future. Next year, AMF will celebrate its 20th anniversary, marking 2 decades of service to the Austin music community. We've come a long way and could not do that without our amazing community of supporters. Thank you so much for supporting AMF. For more information on AMF programs and to get involved, check us out at austinmusicfoundation.org and just about anywhere on social media. Our programs are completely free, but if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so in our website. Any and all support is always appreciated and helps us continue our work. This event is supported in part by the Cultural Arts Division of the City of Austin Economic Development Department. We thank them very much for their involvement. We're looking forward to tonight's workshop and panel discussion all about making the most of your merchandise. Whether you are actively touring or staying connected with your fans online, selling music and merchandise is a great way to earn revenue for your band and strengthen your fan base. We're excited to hear from our experts tonight. Please leave your questions in the comment section of this feed, and our speakers will do their best to answer everything during the Q&A section at the end of the panel. It's my pleasure to introduce our speakers this evening. Carly Wolf is here. Carly Wolf is the lead singer and multi-instrumentalist in Austin-based duo, The Ghost Wolves. Over the last decade, she has toured the world with the band, playing thousands of shows and releasing music on a slew of labels, including Jack White's Third Man Records. In addition to co-writing the band's music and performing live, she designs the band's prolific line of merchandise and has produced many of their music videos. Carly was born in Fredericksburg, Texas, and holds a degree in music and sound recording technology from Texas State University. Welcome, Carly. We also have Raquel Pena, owner of MG Brand, a Latinx woman-owned small business providing promotional and branding merchandise with a specialization in the music industry. Raquel began her career in music at the age of 17 on air at an alt-rock radio station in Midland, Odessa. From radio, she started MG Brand, inspired by her love of music and the desire to see indie bands thrive. Raquel also works in touring, local, and festival production management, which provides 360-degree expertise for MG Brand clientele. For in her fun free time, Raquel takes drum lessons, paints, and DJs vinyl records at the best dives around. Welcome, Raquel. Joining us from El Famoso, who are our event partners tonight, we have Graham Hillhouse and Alex Searles. Graham Hillhouse is partner and chief operating officer at El Famoso. Since its inception in 2016, Graham has helped manage the e-commerce distribution and chart strategies for hundreds of artists, ranging from local stars to Billboard chart toppers and legacy acts. His work is quietly hidden in the shipping rates, return policies, product descriptions, packaging design, and merchandise of some of today's and yesterday's biggest performers. Alex Searles is the customer success manager at El Famoso. She serves as the conduit between artist management teams and El Famoso's suite of services. Alex has overseen the launch of hundreds of products and chart-topping releases, managing merchandise lifecycle from design to production to delivery. If you have any questions regarding how to get started on producing merchandise for your band, best online selling practices, or messaging for when things go wrong, she is your person. Welcome, Alex. I guess we should probably start maybe with you, Alex, since you have the answers to these questions. We'll go through all of you on this. Why and when should people invest in merchandise for their band?
To first start with why, it's really important to make that connection with your fan base. So I've worked in customer service and talked directly to fans, and they explain how much they like having a product from the person that they admire. If you have signed vinyl, make that extra connection. People really enjoy it. They like that closeness to being to an artist that they admire, love seeing perform. It's a huge deal to people having that attachment to a performer. I can't, emphasize more, why it's important for artists to have merch available to people. It really expands your fan base. People talk about it. If someone's wearing, a t-shirt of yours with your band name on it, people talk about it, they ask about it. It's really good to get your name out there.
Well, that's great. That is the why. And Graham, when can you answer when would be the time for people to invest in merchandise for their band?
It totally depends on your band. I It's a hard question because there's a lot, it costs money a lot of the time. So when depends on kind of where you're at in your journey. A lot of times it can be from the start. So you can do little investments like, print on demand and things like that, where you aren't investing a ton of money. But I mean, to put it very simply, is when people want to buy you, when people want to buy what you are selling beyond the music. And sometimes it is purely beyond the music. If you exude a style, if you're selling something beyond a song, your persona, your style, it's hard to access that only via, a song or an album.
Right.
And so my kind of suggestion is, as far as when you can commodify it, essentially when you won't lose money doing it, which is hard to find out, but with kind of technology, it's becoming less and less difficult, and there's less things you have to do and less money you have to put in to kind of dip your toe into the waters.
Right. Can you, Raquel, touch on the logistics on how not to lose money on merch?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. Well, I kind of also wanted a little tell back on the how and when, and you mentioned style, and I immediately think of the Ghost Wolves. Like, that's style right there. I've got that, vinyl record, and the album artwork itself is just style. So, and I was also thinking about one of our most awesome indie bands that's come out in the last couple of years, the Black Pumas. They've got style. And that kind of started, I think the when starts when that band develops this identity and fans start latching onto that identity, getting it. And I think they literally looked around the studio and was like, what's cool? Oh, this, Adrian really loves Jaguars and Pumas, and had this, figurine. And then they were thinking about, like, what's powerful with us, this, awesome, like, powerful brown man, this powerful Black man, and this time that we're living in, and what we're writing about in the studio, and boom, Black Pumas. And that's an identity right there that's super simple, and something that folks can identify with through the music as well, and an image. One of my favorite bands, Fleetwood Mac, their album Tusk, like, what was that about? That's literally the soundboard, the tusks that were around the soundboard. And that also created identity. I think one of their albums, the Penguin, I think it was Mick that really loved penguins and lived near a zoo. So these parts of your band, the identity of it, what inspires you in your artwork, use that to create the merch. And that's sharing a piece of yourself with the fans.
Yeah. That Black Pumas is a great example. As since a lot of us are here in Austin, you probably see that I saw a guy playing frisbee just today, like, wearing that Black Puma shirt. And do you think this goes to you, Carly? A graphic that is that simple, like, I know it when you see it from afar. You know what I mean? Like, I saw it when I was still like 30 yards away from the guy playing frisbee today. And when I walk down the beer aisle, I see it in the, it jumps out because I know it. Can you speak to the simplicity of a graphic and sort of the importance of a graphic of that?
Well, that can be hard to develop, but I mean, if you can get a trademark image, then you'll be known for that image. And no matter where you put it, people will recognize that. And that can be very powerful for sure.
Yeah. Can I ask you about this other thing? And if you want to answer any of the question of the earlier stuff that when we started talking, that would be great too. But can you tell us some success stories and what items you see actually do well?
Well, t-shirts is the main thing. I do all of our designs, and so I kind of developed a style, and like everyone was saying, having that stylistic thing be connected to your music can really help. And that's what kind of draws people to the merch stand, where you have it all stylized. It all kind of goes together and it catches your eye, and I always put a light on it. That's really important. So people come over there and, you have more than one option sometimes. And, if they like the style, well, then they could even buy more than one thing. But t-shirts are the main thing that people buy. I mean,
Right.
We have stickers, buttons, patches. We try to have a wide variety of things. Bags, vests, I mean, a lot of stuff. And then also cassettes, CDs, vinyl, 7 inches, like a whole array of things for people to choose from and have interest in. And then, there's like a conversation there, like, you can talk to them
Right.
directly and kind of draw them in that way.
Do you see the cassettes are selling well now?
It's funny, we sold out of cassettes. We did a small run of them, and we sold out pretty quickly when we were on tour. This was a few years ago. But recently when we played in Austin, people are asking us for cassettes again. So I don't know.
Happening.
They do sell. Yeah. I still listen to cassettes.
Yeah. What do you listen? You have a cassette player, like a boombox or something?
I have it's all like an old school setup
yeah.
with vinyl, CD, cassettes, a radio, like all in one.
Yeah, that's amazing. Guys, let's talk about the sourcing of these things, like print shops and vinyl manufacturers. Does anyone want to weigh in on? Yes, go ahead, Raquel.
Sure. I think this goes back to, like, you were asking about how to not lose money. The number one bestseller is the black t-shirt. My bestseller is the Bella Canvas 100% cotton black t-shirt. 1 to 2 colors, super simple. I think sourcing at, the right price and quantity, understanding like where you're at as a band, what you're bringing to shows, what's your level of interest online, like how are your Spotify plays, like that all relates to how you're going to sell merch and how you're able to push product and that demand. Also creating a spark of call to action on your social media accounts.
Right.
Do you see people interacting with you? That sort of thing. And gosh, yeah, sourcing all of that is a big thing. I think when we're thinking in Austin locally, I would say Texas is crazy about merch. You'll see one price in Austin and then it may be half the price in Dallas, or half the price in Houston, just because these are major hubs. but, there are so many shops and so many wonderful artists here in Austin. It's hard to not, be inspired by that. I think
Right.
also people in Austin understand what merch means to an artist. And that's something to be said about the size of market. And that's special. I mean, we still have some weird music lovers here in town, and I hope it stays that way.
Yeah. Alex, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I think it's important to find vendors in town that you can make a great relationship with. They're very helpful in finding blinks that can be affordable. I know during the pandemic, there's been a lot of shortages on different t-shirts right now. The Bella canvas is really popular and it's worked for a lot of people because it's at a good price, but it's still good quality. But there are a lot of shortages. So having a vendor that can work with you and help you find, stuff that is similar and within your price range can be really beneficial. So just finding that relationship and people that you trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say I've used the same t-shirt printer in Austin since the beginning of our band. We got lucky, and the very first guy we went to, he's been our guy the whole time, under pressure screen printing. He's amazing.
He's great.
He's great, and he does non-toxic inks, and he does a process where it doesn't sit on top, it'll stiff. It's like a discharge ink, so it goes into the fabric. And that's a comment that I get a lot, like, wow, your shirts are so comfortable. Like, it's my favorite shirt. And it's because it is a high quality, all cotton, 100% cotton. It's a special print where it's not real stiff on you, and it's comfy. I mean, I still see people wearing the shirt, like one of the very first designs we ever made. We printed
really?
it, at the very beginning of the band. Yeah, people still wear that shirt. I'm like, wow, that's an old shirt.
Yeah.
Let's get you a new one,
Yeah. Do you guys want to touch at all on vinyl manufacturers? I know that that's something that's been backed up. And Alex, you were just saying that it's hard to come by those super nice t-shirts, the Bella shirts.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of connections as to vinyl manufacturers, but I will say I work with a lot of management teams that are dealing with shortages, or not shortages, but just backups on creating vinyl right now.
Yeah.
Months out from having something produced and distributed to people. So I know a lot of fans are dealing with delays. That's been tough. So I think it would just be good to think in advance if you did want to produce vinyl, maybe start looking into it now, even if you're not ready, but try and get that process going just because it's so backed up.
It is backed up, but I think it's awesome to know that we do have a vinyl manufacturing plant here.
We do.
Gold Rush, woman owned. It's badass.
Yes.
And they also help out independent artists that are here locally with small runs. That's super beneficial.
Yeah, they do all kinds of artists.
Yeah, and like
And
one
Go
of my thoughts on this is like, first start locally, find who your friends are using, ask around. They can refer you to their successful and unsuccessful ventures on merchandise and vinyl.
Right.
Beyond that, I do think that the quickest way that you can lose money as a band is to invest in merchandise that you can't sell. It happens a lot where, somebody puts out a record they're really excited about, it doesn't do well, and now they have, $3,000 wrapped up in a short run of vinyl and another $2,000 in t-shirts, and it just kind of sits there. And beyond that money, now you get to pay to store it, which is an additional cost that a lot of people kind of don't factor into.
No, I didn't even think about that.
And it happens a lot because, you get excited about something, you prepare to do very well, and you invest money in yourself and band, and then things don't go right. So it's a difficult business, and I'd really encourage people to use like a fair amount of caution when like buying this stuff. I do think you should invest in merch. but I do think you should have a pretty like a decent amount of confidence in your ability to sell it before you drop a bunch of cash on it. And especially with vinyl, because if you like aim and miss on a vinyl order, it's hard. It's expensive. And then, yeah, it's hard to get rid of, and you're stuck with it forever.
That's what everyone's getting for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
can be.
yeah, you lose a ton of money.
Yeah, that can be real frustrating. There is a really cool thing that we've been doing lately for very small runs. And actually it was a custom thing, and we didn't make them until people ordered them in advance. That's what a lot of people can, well, when they are planning a release, they will do like a pre-order, so they can get an idea of how many t-shirts, for example, and what sizes, or how many vinyls to order. I mean, I know some of these ones, you know, they only do like a 500 minimum, sometimes 300 minimum, you know, and up. But there's a place in town, Old Faithful Records. They do them all one at a time by hand, and it's called a lathe cut vinyl. So if you wanted to do something really special and just kind of test the waters, you could get a 7-inch, or, you know, get 10 printed like that. So there are other options. And I would definitely advise, unless you have a big tour plan and you're going to do like 100 shows in a row, you know, that'll give you a lot of opportunity to try to move all of that. But if you don't have all that planned, it's going to be hard to just sell them.
It's tough though, because those small runs can be pretty pricey. Like when you're saying 10, that could be $350 or $400 or something, right? Or no?
Well, it depends. So with the lathe cut records, they're done one at a time by hand, and they're not as high quality as a pressed vinyl record. They sound a little different, but it's still a vinyl record, and it's actually like a collector's item. But and I'm not sure what his going rate is, but I mean, we were getting them made for like $10 each or something.
Oh, really? Okay, because I
yeah,
I didn't know their prices. I just knew one that I had dealt with before was pretty pricey.
Now, if you're going to send a master, oh, really? Okay. Well,
yeah.
I guess shop around.
Yeah, I think understanding your fan base, what your plan is for this album cycle. Are you creating a whole package around it? Like you said, limited edition. Like what else are we adding to this to make it, you know, exciting for the fan to desire like this limited edition, you know, record? Like, can we add some like cool socks? Like what? And this is also working with your merch provider like me. What is low run right now? What can we do that's weird and interesting? Like a pair of socks, or you know, even something as simple as a koozie that's low cost, but it has like this cool artwork on it. You know, you can make simple things stand out with awesome artwork.
Right.
Definitely. I love packaging things together where you have, you know, like a bundle, and you can kind of get more out of everything when you throw this in, and you can, you know, ask a little bit more, and it's kind of this limited thing. So people are interested in it and they want one. It's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I think that brings up a good point of like some options for people who are like looking to dip their toe in the water without like investing a ton of money, without the confidence in their ability to sell it. And Carly made a really good point about like pre-sale merchandise. I mean, we do this a ton on our side, where we only buy as much as we sold plus some to keep in the store. And especially throughout the pandemic, you can create a product and sell it with a kind of longer delivery date. And you say, yeah, we're going to ship these a month from now, or 2 months from now, and you can collect orders. And then, you know, then instead of buying 250 t-shirts, you know, you're buying the exact amount, and maybe you make a little less per unit, but you also spend less money, and you're out less. So pre-sales are a great option for kind of testing the waters without like that huge investment. And another thing is print on demand.
Right.
I encourage anyone who's thinking about selling merch to build the confidence before they use a ton of money, like spend it on the album, spend it on the, but if you aren't sure you're going to sell it or don't feel like you have a great avenue built yet, don't drop a ton of money on it, because, it's a huge risk. And you will lose money, and it's a standard practice for people to do. Like, they have tons of old band t-shirts that they've had forever. And the reason why is because they bought more than they needed without the confidence. And so like things that are available to us now that weren't previously, and things that have become standard, like pre-sale and print on demand, can help you like develop that confidence in your ability to sell merchandise without the huge, honestly, huge, like kind of expenditures that a lot of these companies are asking you to make to like jump in, especially with like minimum order quantities on vinyl and t-shirts. Like, please like test it out first. If you have the picture of the shirt, just test it out. And from there, like you can build out like your idea of what you can kind of sell.
Yeah, there's great websites like Redbubble. Shopify has tons of widgets, and you can find the right print on demand company that works for you. And then even Bandcamp, there's ways to connect your Bandcamp to print on demand sites. That's super easy. And, Bandcamp is super awesome about, pre-sale or those types of promotions.
The one thing with doing those print on demands is you might not be able to get that quality that Carly was talking about earlier. Am I wrong?
That's exactly what I was going to say, actually. Sure. I've tried print on demand, and I was quite disappointed with the quality. I know they have to do it a certain way because it's digital and they just print one at a time, and that's how they do it. But the t-shirt was super stiff. Like, I ordered one for myself because I wanted to make sure, I knew what people would be getting, because, I have a standard. So I ordered one for myself just to see, and it was just so stiff, and really just aesthetically, it wasn't there. It wasn't up to.
It definitely depends on the type of artwork. The simpler, the better. Like, you have some really simple two-color artwork. You could do a color changing mug, that's print on demand with no investment. Definitely test it out. I think in my experience, 1 to 2 colors on a simple t-shirt works best on a print on demand site.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just think that print on demand can be a little bit more expensive too. So to have that more basic design, 1 to 2 colors, is really going to be important, rather than having a more complex design, because I think you're just going to lose money in the long term.
Yeah, the one I tried was just a white ink on a black shirt. That's most of the designs that I do. And like I said, it just wasn't good quality. But I only tried it through a couple different companies, but it was more than once where it wasn't great.
Yeah,
but it might
I
work
think it's
for other people.
Super improved with the pandemic. I work with a print on demand company that allows you to choose the type of print. I think most like Redbubble are like straight digital. That's all they're doing. They keep it simple. The end user doesn't know the difference between, a screen print or DTG or things like that, or like water-based, like under pressure. So yeah, I mean, doing your research, it's work. If you're doing it on your own, it's all work.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys mind we take a step forward into venue, touring, playing shows, starting with merch booth setup and engaging with fans. Now, this is a crucial thing. This is where you're actually selling the stuff.
Yes. Absolutely. I'm happy to speak to that. The main thing that is important is you've got to light it up. It's like those mosquito zappers, you know?
Yeah.
The mosquitoes go there because it's
Right, right.
they're attracted to it, and then once they're there, then you can zap them. But I even made a sign that was backlit. It was a tedious thing that I made, but anyways, I got a lot of comments just on my sign because it was lit up. You could see it from way across the room, and then plus all the lights and stuff. It's so important to light it up, and then people will see it, and then they can go over there, and you can have a sign with the prices listed, and keep it organized, what sizes you have available and what designs and everything. And I always have an email list there, and I always have a way to maybe we don't have their size but they really want it. I would actually carry an order form where I would write down their information and go ahead and take their money and give them a little slip and mail it to them later. Just make the most of it.
I mean, this is the thing is I'm sure there's some people that are listening to this right now and saying like, God, I got to set up, I got to tune, I got to remember the words of my songs or whatever. But this is the kind of work you have to put into it to make it an industry like you guys have done.
It's a lot of work. It's almost, as much work as the show itself is all of the merch, the whole thing. But the thing is I enjoy it. So that's the other thing. Like, I just enjoy selling stuff. So, but I'll have like a clothing rack up there with, I sew. So I have custom stuff that I've sewn, and it's a whole big, huge setup. I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but at least put a light on it so people can see that you are set up, and make a point to go right to your merch right after your show, because people want to see you.
Right.
If they're interested in what you did on stage.
Right.
So they'll come over, and if you're standing over there by the bar, they'll go over there. But if you're standing by your merch, then they'll go over there, and then you'll, have something to talk about.
Yeah, then they'll feel a little weird walking away without buying anything, right?
Yeah.
I think the one thing I've seen over time in touring is keep it simple, like you said, well lit, nice black tablecloth, have your t-shirts displayed in a professional manner. Take that travel steamer over that t-shirt, make sure it's not wrinkled and ratted up. Your t-shirts folded nicely in the tub, like this is money you're exchanging for goods, like show that you care. I think a lot of times like it's so hard on the road, like you're one show after another and you're like, like now I've got to do merch. Yeah, you've got to do merch because it's worth it in the end. And also showing that you care. It's showing respect for the fan because they care to stop by and take a little piece of you home with them.
Yeah. Alex and Graham. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah. So like, I think one thing to consider is if you're at the point where you're playing shows and you don't have merch, you are leaving money on the table. And most, artists I've spoken with, especially ones that are starting out and touring smaller shows, it's merch that gets them to the next town. And if you aren't doing that in some capacity, even if it's small, you are leaving money on the table because these fans are showing up. And if they enjoy your music and you have no merch, what they're left with is that they can go listen to your music more on Spotify. And that, maybe they buy your album on Bandcamp, but they're definitely not talking like billboards for you if you don't have merch. And if you do, and they like what you're doing, that investment is beyond just selling a shirt. Now you have somebody, good or bad, who's walking around with your name on them.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans are looking to access that, beyond the music. It's part of their style. It's part of their fashion. And if you're just selling your songs, you may as well just not play a show and just post your music on Bandcamp. You'll probably make as much money. It's like you really, if you're at the point where you're playing shows, you're hurting yourself if you're not doing it, I think, in some capacity.
I think that speaks to the resurgence of vinyl and cassette tapes. Like, people want tangible items now again. Like, that's important and special, and it's exciting to see, fans of all ages like re-engaging with something that's tangible.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Also,
And
oh no, go
well,
ahead.
I was just gonna throw in that it's in the moment too. It's so much easier to sell something in the moment of the energy of the night, and everything that's happening. People are drinking, having a good time, and they see your show and they see the merch, and it's a lot harder to, like, later on for those people to remember, now who was that. I was gonna maybe look them up again, but it's just easy to forget the next few days or something. But if you have something available right then they can get it in the moment, and then they'll remember and come see you next time, or buy something else, or look you up on Spotify or something, for example.
Right. You can also, you're able to sell merch on Spotify, right? Or through Spotify?
Yeah.
You can, but it is
You can link your stuff to it.
Well, so Merch Bar is kind of Spotify's default merch partner. They require you to connect through Shopify. We do it a ton for a lot of artists. A lot of people do buy through Spotify, but it is kind of a pain to set up. They take a good chunk of the money. They require you to ship on a certain, period. They require certain returns. It is kind of a pain to set up, but it is definitely possible. And in my experience, Merch Bar, unless you are they expect you're going to make them a lot of money, they're not super quick to be very helpful to you. But if you want to sell on Spotify, currently that is the only option. As
far as selling at these shows, you have the Square, you also have Venmo and PayPal, but Shopify is also you can sell your stuff from Shopify or take the money through Shopify.
Yeah, Shopify has.
Sorry, it's on my list.
It's a good, I think generally, how do you accept money at shows is kind of a good question, because there's a lot of caveats to it, and how much money they take from you matters, especially when you're smaller. So Venmo, family, friends, and services, or family and friends, they don't take any money. If you can pull that off, good for you, I think. Shopify, I think, takes 30 cents plus 5% on the POS system. If you're getting big
real quick,
enough.
If I can just ask you real quick, and does the Shopify thing work as a credit card swipe or like a credit card something? Okay,
yeah,
so it's basically the same as a Square.
Yeah, it operates exactly the same as the Square. The one kind of big benefit is that it tracks your inventory. So if you have inventory at the house and inventory at the show, you can separate them. And, if somebody, Carly was talking about the order slip that she used. If she didn't have anything, you can also create an order right there on Shopify and send them the stuff you have, and then mail them the rest of the goods. So if you're getting big enough, I think I did the math on SoundCloud versus Wix versus Spotify or Shopify, and Bandcamp's kind of the best up until you're selling around $6,000 a year, at least online. As far as in-person stuff, y'all may be able to, Carly and Raquel, y'all may be able to say a little bit better than me, but my experiences with Square and Shopify per POS.
I would say the most used and successful is Square. There are a lot more options against chargebacks to protect yourself with Square. And, you can also work a inventory around that. Another option is at venue. That is a little pricier service fee. So if you're constantly touring and need to keep up with that inventory and you have someone selling for you, I would recommend that option. And that can also integrate with your online store as well.
Yeah, I think the
Good.
most important thing is that you do offer a way to take credit cards, because you're just going to miss out on sales. Not everybody
Yeah.
has cash. Not everybody has Venmo, PayPal. You know, they have their credit card and they're willing to swipe it. Just we use Square, but that's just because that's what we've been using. I haven't looked into these other ones. I didn't even know Shopify had one of those. We use Shopify for our website and for our online sales. And I will say that when we moved over from just having it on Bandcamp and having it sort of just linked to our website, when we moved it all over to Shopify, we did see an increase in sales, just because it's easier to navigate. It's easier to put your credit card in, and you know, it's a better system, even though it does cost more.
Raquel, do you have any more, like if you're going to have one way to pay at a show, you would recommend Square?
Yeah, that's the most used. It's easy to integrate.
Everybody's
that.
got a credit or debit card on them.
Yeah, and you know, I think also considering safe COVID practices on the road, there's an option that you can purchase where someone's just tapping the card. You don't even have to touch it. You know, that's a great option as well. I always recommend, being safe on the road, and you know, merch table is essential. So, what are you going to do to protect yourself and your merch seller? Like, make sure there's hand sanitizer on the merch table, have the right card reader. So that way you're protected against chargebacks. You're protected against having to touch so many things. Yeah, I highly recommend that.
All right, so let's talk about the e-commerce and shipping side of this stuff, of merchandise. We talked about the platforms. You can do Squarespace, Bandcamp, Shopify, and Wix. We didn't really talk about Squarespace as a marketplace.
Yes.
Does anyone have any?
I can talk a little bit about Squarespace and some other ones. I mean, there's a lot of options out there, and a lot of that are marketed specifically towards bands. I use Shopify mainly. We also use Shopify across, 250, 300 music stores. We think it offers a really good value for the money, but it depends on what you're good at. So a lot, depending on the site, if you want like a website builder, I've heard Wix is really good and user friendly. The e-commerce portion of that may not be as easy, but it depends on what matters to you. If your website and the way you present yourself, is the key part, and e-commerce is maybe kind of second fiddle to that, I would recommend Squarespace or Wix, which might be like a little easier user experience designing the site than Shopify. But if e-commerce is becoming like really a big part of your brand, I'd recommend Shopify, hands down.
Okay. And Carly seems to recommend that as well.
Yes, like
Alex,
I said,
do you want to weigh in on this kind of thing? Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, we did this crazy website where we hand designed every single thing. And it was just, it was a lot of work, and it looked so cool, and we did it through Wix, and it was just like our masterpiece. But then it was just like not working well for navigating and for selling stuff. And so we had to kind of sacrifice the design element to move it over to Shopify and just simplify and make it easy for people to buy our merch. Because other than announcing shows, that's really kind of the main thing that we use our website for.
Right. Alex, we haven't heard from you on this subject. Would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, most of my experiences with Shopify, I will say it's a very user-friendly site. So customers don't typically have issues checking out. Shopify is really good at alerting you when there are problems with orders, such as chargebacks, which Raquel was talking about before. Their support for Shopify is very extensive. There's a lot of guides online on how to use it. I think that's really beneficial walking into something that you might not know how to do. Shopify has
Right.
unending resources on how to use their services. So I think that can be really great for some people.
What about shipping? Can you guys tell us how not to lose a ton of money when shipping? What's your
I'm happy to take this one because
Graham?
that's kind of my thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
The best way, the biggest problem we see people have, especially kind of people who are starting to finally or sell a bunch of stuff, is shipping. It's a good way to eat out like all of your margin on your t-shirt without, doing much. So
Right.
it depends on how much or what you're selling, right? Like, are you selling a $25 t-shirt with $5 shipping? Are you selling a $30 t-shirt with free shipping? This is where kind of the marketing and kind of psychological part like comes in. How you price your goods and how you price your shipping. Most of us are pretty used to free shipping at this point, or at least cheap shipping. And that's what I think most consumers are looking for in a product, is because they see the price and then it takes them to a next step and then they see a new price. The closer you can stay to that original price that convinced them to add it to their cart, the better you are. Even if you lose money on shipping, you will sell more stuff explicitly, almost always. That's the only real big exception to that, is when you will sell out of what you have, then collect shipping. But there's some kind of big do's and don'ts. And the first big don't is don't go to the post office. If you're going to the post office to ship your merch, you are losing money. You're paying more for shipping and you're spending a bunch of time that you really don't need to spend. The prices that you buy at the counter at USPS are 20 to 30% higher than what you would pay if you used a very easy and very accessible alternative that is pretty widely available. So any website that does e-commerce, usually you can print shipping from there. If that's an option to you, for example, Shopify, you can print from, Wix, you can print from, I know you can from Squarespace. Those labels are almost always going to be cheaper than going to the post office.
Okay.
I know the big hangup is probably printers, but like, if you're shipping 10 things, you've paid for a $30 printer pretty quickly. That's kind of the big one, is like, don't go to the post office. Use your like existing shipping platform within whatever your e-com platform is, or you can use things like Pirate Ship. Stamps.com is similar. Indicia is another one. If you want to dig a little, there's one called PayPal Ship Now that isn't widely available, but if you Google it, you can find a kind of back-end PayPal shipping site, and you can buy media mail labels, which is big for artists, discounted commercial rate media mail labels. I definitely recommend just like figuring out how to print postage online, and also stay away from the USPS website, because same thing, they will charge you retail rates for shipping and you will lose, a couple bucks times however many you're shipping. Look for those discounted options, which exist almost always in every single e-commerce platform. Plus you can look at like Pirate Ship, which I recommend highly. Stamps.
You recommend Pirate Ship?
Yeah, honestly, Pirate Ship is one of the simplest platforms. I think they charge like, I don't know, 30 cents, or it's something dumb cheap. It's way cheaper than USPS. If you're looking at UPS, same thing. UPS, FedEx, they're going to charge you more if you go into the store than if you buy online. Our government's postal service is a huge, huge favor to musicians because of the existence of media mail, which allows you to ship recorded media at discounted rates.
Right.
And if you're not shipping your items media mail, I think you should. And it's what you've got to do is dig a little online to find it.
Right.
But that's kind of my treatise on shipping. I don't know. It's a quick way to like waste a lot of time and lose a lot of money if you take the wrong route.
Right. Well, we're like 10 minutes away from the Q&A session. And so I wanted to have two more sections. The reporting to SoundScan and Billboard, that would be more like music sales of like vinyl and CDs or cassettes. Anyone?
Yeah. Well, I would say I have a lot of bands, independent bands that use Square.
Okay.
Loading all your products in Square definitely helps with that inventory. Taking inventory, even if you don't load your products in Square when you're selling, that's important. Keep track of those items. I highly recommend it. It'll benefit you in the long run. At Venue, I mentioned before, can automatically do that for you. They'll send that report for you.
Who is that at Venue?
ATVENU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so let's.
Sorry, just to quickly run through, like we do a lot of
Sure.
physical and digital reporting for clients, and one app that I would recommend is Single Music. I think they charge like $10 a month to physically report, and then they can deliver digital downloads, etc. But huge shout out to the people at Single Music who have run some really huge releases for us and really small ones. They've helped make sure and kind of held our hands when we were just starting, make sure that the stuff we're selling is charting correctly. I will say that there's some new rules with Billboard charting. So one big thing in this industry has been bundling. And like, when you sell, they've recently changed the rules to disclude bundles from Billboard charting. So if you sell a t-shirt and a CD, doesn't count for the Billboard charts unless it is physically packaged as under one
Together.
single SKU. Yeah. Or UPC. So when you're looking to physically report and if you're getting big enough to sell around 300 units a week across a reporting period, which is 1 week, you should report because you might show up on some of those vinyl sales charts. That's when I recommend customers start like worrying about reporting their sales is if you're going to sell and ship 300 records in a week.
Right. Okay. All right. So with our last few minutes, can you guys all touch on taxes, how you handle that, how do you anyone want to take the lead on that?
That's the worst.
Well, because
part
that
of
one
it.
can come. Yeah, I mean, I know a guy in
It's
town
important.
that had some problems with that at one point, and the state really did come after him.
Yes, it's very important. Shopify is great about handling your taxes, and it helps you. It'll guide you through it if you're doing it on your own. I also recommend, if you use Square, that they also do the same thing. Apply for that sales tax. If you're local, it's super easy to report on the website. They even send you a reminder if you need one. If you don't sell anything, you still need to report it.
Yeah, if you don't sell anything, you still have to report it. So if you sign up
That's weird.
if you sign up like you're gonna report tax, you still have to file those documents. So, and if you're selling stuff in Texas, you really do need to be collecting state sales tax, like period, whether it's online or locally. And whatever you do is your own business, but officially you do need to be collecting taxes, and it is a dangerous game to play to not, I think.
Yeah, and if you're, purchasing from us, from screen printers, you wouldn't, if you provide that certificate, you're not paying tax to us. It's going to come out from your end user, from your fan.
So it comes from the sale.
Mm-hmm.
Hence
the final
sales
sale,
tax.
the final sale.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Carly, do you want to weigh in on any of this?
No, not really. Not on the taxes side of things. I don't really I don't do our taxes. So we have somebody helping us because that's just beyond.
Having a business manager is awesome.
Yeah, that just specifically with taxes, we have a guy. So.
Okay. It's always good to have a guy.
Yeah, with taxes, you don't want to mess with that, on your own if you don't know what you're doing.
Right. Alex, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I really don't. I don't have a lot of input. Graham would definitely know more, which he already kind of spoke on.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should move into the Q&A unless there's anything else that we're missing from this last part of the conversation, like the pre-sales. We talked about the bundling. I think we kind of touched on pricing. And inventory management is just really, people need to sort of like know how much they're selling before they buy a big chunk, right?
Yeah, I think it's really understanding, if you have inventory in a lot of different places, say online, you're selling it, tour, etc. Just understanding if that's all one bucket of inventory, that you're keeping track of it, whether that's pen and paper or if you're using Shopify, Square to help you track it. It's very important because you could run out of inventory in one place and someone bought it and you don't have the product to give to them. So it could really put you in a bind.
Right. All right. Well, let's start answering some of these questions. These are from our audience, who is some are pre-submitted. This one's for Carly. The first one is for Carly. What is the current state of Star Wolf, and how do you keep it separate from the Ghost Wolves brand?
Well, so Star Wolf is my sewing company where I was making custom clothing and hanging it on a rack when we went on tour and selling it to the fans, and selling some online. But I'm working on a new thing to release through Star Wolf called Chain Stitch Embroidery Patches. So I got the old machine and I'm working on developing that, and that's going to be the next sort of thing I release through Star Wolf. But it's sort of one and the same, where because I kind of market it through Ghost Wolves, but it's also different because Ghost Wolves is normally black and white, simple, very stylized, and Star Wolf, can range anywhere it wants. So it's not as boxed off as far as the style goes.
Okay.
Gives me a little bit more freedom.
This one might be a little bit a little more involved, but how do you guys, can anyone here recommend how to handle taking merch / selling merch on overseas tours? You guys have done that, right, Carly?
Yes, we have. When we would always like pay for an extra bag or make sure whatever ticket we got, we'd have 2 giant bags each to take. And we would normally get our t-shirts printed overseas. So they would already be there when we got there. But, some of this custom stuff, some of the, other physical stuff that, it's too expensive to ship. So we get a big, huge suitcase and fill it all the way up and take it with us. And then also leave stuff there, like if you can. I mean, we would rent our equipment over there too, so we wouldn't have to bring a lot of that stuff. So most of our baggage would be merch. And well, that can just be a little tricky because
well, as far probably if you were doing
customs.
vinyl, you'd probably want to get it printed over there as well too.
yeah, or I mean, if you have a label that's working with you, have them
Right.
ship it, because that's really heavy. And I mean, your bag can only weigh 50 pounds. So that can
Right.
get
I
tricky.
see
But
some.
I mean, I have definitely, carried a box of vinyl with me on the plane a lot. I mean, all the time.
You schlepped a box of vinyl.
I
There's somebody that
did.
was trying to speak up and get in. Was that you, Raquel?
Oh, I think it can be tricky with
Were you trying to
customs.
say something?
If you, be prepared to pay that toll. I mean, maybe don't tell the man, but hidden some merch away through Canada and some boxes of gear and suitcases. So, definitely keep that in mind. I highly recommend just what Carly did, print t-shirts. And I can definitely connect you with some merchandise, some promotional products providers in the UK, Europe, Australia, Canada. So you're not worrying about, if you have a huge tour, carrying so much merch and paying all the taxes on it.
Right.
Yeah, that's one thing that I got lucky with, because the stuff I was bringing with me was more the Star Wolf stuff that was all kind of one of a kind, and I didn't have it priced yet. So I snuck it in, but they do look for that. If you have, inventory, they want to tax you on that, because if you're going to be selling in their country, they want their cut. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Just print it over there.
That's probably the best bet. That sounds like a good side to take. Sorry. How has the
It's a good
pandemic?
plan.
Yeah, good plan. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. How has the pandemic affected the merch industry? Are you selling more, less? What is changing? Anyone?
Gosh, that's crazy. I was fortunate. I saw and kind of implemented this with most of my clientele's, like, start that merch store way before the pandemic happened. So, when the pandemic happened, they were selling. And I was ready and had, my contacts. Fortunately, Texas was a different situation, I think, than a lot of the country. They were able to stay open as an essential, a business, because they're a manufacturer. And it also depended on the printer, like if they were able to do that and how much they were doing PPE and what we could provide. But man, merch was selling like hotcakes, and I think it still is. But now I'm seeing delays with, and I had, I guess, sporadically throughout the pandemic, through items coming through customs, delays being with, products, raw products, coming from China, that sort of thing. So a lot of planning has had to happen. I think also, bands touring all at once, that's a whole thing, and under purchasing because they weren't sure, like, hey, I don't know if we're going to be on the road 2 weeks, 6 weeks, or 3 months. Like, who knows?
Right. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people that have sort of thrown them, like fans have thrown themselves into, I mean, look, I know it takes a lot of fans to do a lot of stuff, but I have seen one lady that I think she bought like 400 pieces of merch. She got a piece of merch every day from somebody and was like posting it online and stuff, which, I know that there's some people that found ways that they could help bands out during the pandemic, knowing that they're not playing, by buying up that merch.
Yeah, bands, starting Patreon accounts, building packages with that. I think that's been an awesome pivot to do, especially if you're not ready to tour.
Right.
You know, holding that fan base down, like giving them something and performing online. You know, do what you can for your, you know, your P1s.
Yeah. Carly, have you noticed what has changed for you guys as far as like this, how much merch you're selling?
Well, we started making masks like as soon as this whole thing
Genius.
hit. We were actually in Europe when it hit in Italy. We were in Italy. So we kind of saw it happen before it even got over here. Everybody was wearing masks and it was like super crazy. And then we came home and then all of a sudden there's a mask shortage. So we started making them and we sold a ton of masks because everybody needed one. So it was just kind of, you know, something we could provide that everybody needed right away. That gave us a boost at the beginning when all of our tours and every single show was canceled. So that helped us out for a little while. And then we started doing the, like I was talking about before, the lathe cut vinyls. And, you know, it's kind of the specialty stuff that you could only get if you ordered it in advance, and it was a limited thing. And so that kind of, we were doing a series of those, and we released a single after that and had a shirt that went along with it, and a 7-inch vinyl. And, you know, so we've just been kind of trying to keep things going a little bit. Another thing that we do is on Bandcamp, you can, we have subscribers. So it's just, it's kind of like Patreon, but it's a little different, but they just pay you monthly, whatever they're comfortable with. And then we provide them with demos or just extra little things that we wouldn't post out to the public. So it's kind of just given us more time to focus on stuff like that.
Yeah. Graham, this question's for you. What's your favorite piece of merch you've seen lately or in the last, you know, year or so?
We have, I don't know, 1 million different pieces of merch in our warehouse, like literally 1 million. And so it's hard to pick a favorite, but I've become a pretty big fan of K-pop merch.
Oh yeah.
It's a different world, and they're doing some wild formats and some really, really neat stuff. Some that have like kind of broken the mold of, you know, a lot of these Billboard chart rules. So they've started packaging t-shirts and media into one box, which allows them to count it towards, you know, Billboard charting. I really
like a collectible box that you can use again. It's like a cool box. Even the box is cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it, you know, they kind of acknowledge that people are already consuming the music online, so it does contain the music, but it contains trading cards, and it contains posters and photo books, and it's just a very interesting take on merchandise that I don't really see many domestic artists taking.
Right.
I mean, there is the box set, but this is like pretty standard album for them. This isn't like it's a big release, but it's like any other release. They do that by default.
Right. It also seems like when you're talking about this stuff and like people's favorite pieces of merch, that it would behoove the artist to know who they're selling this merch to, what their music represents, where I guess this is it's not really off color or anything, but there's you know, Kalu James and the Electric Joint.
Yeah.
They're kind of like a jam band world and like a, you know, stony kind of like band. Well, he has like rolling papers and a lighter, you know what I mean? Like things of that nature that work with your band. Like, you know, if you're like a coffee shop kind of literary singer songwriter guy, maybe you sell, you know, cool bookmarks or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And there's tons of creative ideas out there. And yeah, those K-pop bands always are doing something wild. They have like these these like lights, like pendant lights that like light up to the music, that when you
Right,
play
right.
the song, it picks it up and plays it. And maybe that's a little beyond what, we're talking about here, but
No, but they know their audience, and their
Yeah.
audience would buy that. So that's what I'm trying to point out as well. Yeah.
yeah,
For
I mean,
sure.
packaging your merch
Yeah.
with other interesting stuff is
Yeah.
good, because you can assume that people are consuming your music in some form or fashion already, and what
Right.
they're buying isn't necessarily the sound that's coming
Right.
out of whatever this item is. It's like a physical representation of what you represent.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Casey Musgraves in the light up cowboy hat. I'm working with AEW Wrestling on a badass VIP tin lunchbox with all the favorite characters on it. That's super cool.
I love it when people bring back the lunchbox.
Yes. My favorite socks. I just freaking love socks.
Me too. Is it expensive to have socks, to make socks?
No. And it's even cheaper than ever. Like, do socks, please.
Really?
Call me.
So we covered, somebody asked, aside from t-shirts, what are some of the outside of the box ideas that you're seeing selling well? Does anyone have any more other than the K-pop thing, the lunch boxes? Stuff you wouldn't normally know?
I wouldn't say this is outside of the box, but I think hats are always really popular. The
Yeah.
dad hat right now is a huge seller.
The what?
It's a dad hat. It's a type of
Yeah.
style of hat. And then mugs, like a diner mug, those sell really well, especially during the holidays. It's a good gift that people can give to others.
Yeah.
I had
Okay.
some pretty good luck with enamel pins. Those are kind of trendy. And,
Oh.
we made just like the little round kind of, they call them badges in Europe, but they're real popular over there. But then we went beyond that and made like an actual enamel pin. It was a cool company in Austin that made them, and they sold. So
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a big money maker, but it was just something kind of cool that, it's more like a momentum or memento.
Right.
I mean,
One thing that is worth mentioning, there's a company locally, Alex, you may have to remind me of their name, but they make dog hats.
No way.
Yeah,
That's cute.
I'll have to look it up real quick, but yeah, it's called, like, it's not Bark Box, it's something similar, but they make like little dad hats for dogs, and that may be my favorite merchandise item is dog hats.
When you
we're
guys say
definitely
dad
gonna have to
hats,
do that.
when you
That's
guys
perfect.
say dad hats, do you mean like those hats Jason Mraz wears?
like this one,
Okay.
like a kind of
Okay.
Like a cap.
yeah,
Okay.
like
Like a ball cap.
shorter, yeah.
Unstructured.
I didn't realize the name had changed like that.
Yeah, dads have taken over that style of hat.
Who knew?
Well, I was gonna say, Carly, I'm glad that you're here because your insight and sort of focus on quality and cool outside the box things, even in the way that you sell it and do everything, it might be more than some people are willing to put into it, but you see what the results are. I mean, do you guys sell enough merch to keep on making and selling merch? But do you make enough merch to like cover a lot of stuff financially?
Yes, especially on tour. I mean, we would easily double, and even more what we would be expecting, as the guarantee every night. As long as we put the work in, as long as we set it all up, went there directly after, lit it up, stayed there, however long it took to sell it. And so, yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth it. Without merch, we wouldn't have been able to continue, and go as many places as we were able to go. It's really carried us. And even throughout the pandemic, I mean, it's really helped us through not having shows and stuff. I mean, it's essential for us. For sure. And that's
Um,
also, you know, it's fun to figure out, you know, the next thing and the next design, and, you know, it's to see what people like and what people grab onto and stuff. It's kind of exciting.
if someone doesn't see it as fun as you see it and as exciting as you see it, which a lot of people, might not, they have a hard time, but are there people out there that can handle that side of this for you without breaking the bank or, too much of an upfront investment?
Yes. Well, there's a website
Like
called
you can partner
Fiverr.
with them? Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, and people are willing to do a quick design for you, you know, for $5 or $10. I mean, people not everybody is going to sit there and do the drawing, but
Right.
you know, even fans, you could reach out to fans if you have a following of any kind and say, hey, you know, does anybody want to do some art and for us, and, you know, we'll give you a free t-shirt or whatever. Like, you know, it can be something like that. But I think it's important and you don't have to spend a fortune to do it.
Right. Do any of the rest of you have any suggestions on that? Because while it is, I mean, you're an exception to the rule of people that make music that is so excited about merch and even the way you present it and everything. There's like an aesthetic to what you do, and people should probably take note of the fact that you put that much work into it. That's how you get so much out of it.
Absolutely.
However, there are people that are not going to want to be, that don't get as excited for the process. Do any of the rest of you guys know somebody that can help in that situation?
That's actually what I do. But I mean, I applaud
Boom.
Carly. Like that's the hard part, is finding some interest in it. And even so, working with artists that have zero interest in merch, it is like pulling teeth. You like to create something because, and at the end of the day, you got to think about it as your identity. Like, this is your brand. This is, your company.
Right.
You got to invest in yourself. You want your fans to invest in you, and you have to provide something for them tangible.
Right.
In addition to your music, like to hang on to that, to build, your empire, your business, your fan base. So you got to give a little.
And people can just look up mgbrand.com. Is it mgbrand.com?
Merchgal.com.
Merchgal.com. Okay. Merchgal.com. That's where you want to go, because not everybody is. Did you do the Brandon Temple shirt? Which, by the way, I'll give by one.
Actually.
Yeah. Congratulations. Good job.
And
yeah, the
all right.
artist is actually through Antones.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were awesome in creating something for them.
I think it's like a great question is like, when's it worth it? And like, I did see like a question of like, how about third-party sites? Like, who do you look for to help you with this? And yeah, thanks, Sarah, for the question. It depends on how much you value your time. There are people out there like Raquel or third-party sites. I recommend doing it locally and somebody but those type of sites exist for a reason, and it's because you don't have the time or the energy to like engage with all this stuff in the way that kind of Carly has, I guess.
Right.
Not everyone's can do that, or
not every
fulfillment in doing that, or cares to. And yeah, I think that sites like Bonfire, or I'm trying to think other print on demand examples.
That's what
some people I can like locally. Rawpaw has done something similar to Bonfire, where they'll help pre-sell your shirt and then print the exact amount that you sell. I think FSG did something. Fine Southern Gentlemen did something similar during the pandemic, where they would essentially collect sales for your shirt and then print however many you made or sold. So yeah, I recommend that people study themselves, and then like, how realistic is that you're going to do something extensive and pull it off without a lot of stress, and then kind of figure out what it's worth to you. Like, is it worth losing $5 of the $10 you would make on a shirt to let somebody else handle it? And like, honestly, a lot of the times that answer is yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I save time, save money, save stress, like
Well, right. And
Go
people
for
have
it.
to keep up. People have to have, outside of being an artist, creating music that was not there before it came out of your heart and soul and mind. Rehearse, book, probably manage themselves, do their social media. So you can understand where some people would be like, hey, look, I just want to do this stuff, you know, God forbid they have a job as well, like an outside job.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's a lot of work, and yeah, use technology and like the 21st century to your advantage, I think.
yeah. Talk to Merch Gal as well.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
say, here's another good question. What are some creative ways to get rid of old merch that didn't sell?
We've done mystery sales before with some of our clients, so people don't know what they're necessarily buying, but be a grab bag of different t-shirts thrown together. It works.
Right.
That
How
has
does that
been-
work with sizing though?
Yeah.
So we've had like you can buy a small, medium, large, or extra large. Usually
Mystery.
it's unisex, and then we take all of this stuff that hasn't sold and put it into small, medium, large piles. And yeah, that has been wildly successful for us.
Huh.
The mystery sale concept has really taken off.
I'd also love for you artists to learn, like, why didn't it sell? Was it brown t-shirt with like junior set doesn't fit your fans? Who let you buy that?
Yeah,
Well-
you shouldn't be having to have a mystery sale, to be honest. But
Yeah.
the only reason you would is because you bought too much stuff.
Okay.
Or the wrong item.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
could also bundle it at like buy a new shirt, get one of those old shirts for half price. Does that work as well?
I think so. And we've also
Totally.
seen clients do if they have an extensive amount, they've partnered with like blanket companies. And so
Right.
you can make like a t-shirt blanket that has 10 different designs of your brand, you know, if you have a lot of overstock. We've seen that done. It was pretty successful.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really neat because it's now one like big piece of art with a lot of different eras of the band, and you know, it's interesting.
People have also made
Um,
off of leftover t-shirts, so they can be
I've made what?
face masks from leftover t-shirts.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. That's a good idea
It's really
too.
creative. I don't know if everyone has the sewing capabilities, but might be able to hire it or outsource it.
So we're all realizing we're not Carly in this meeting today.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I will say that even, you know, if you aren't willing to do it and somebody else is, you know, having them do it, that's still going to be more than you would have made not doing it on your own. So even if you're going to give half the money to someone else, they're going to make you more money than if you weren't going to do it on your own. So,
Sure.
yeah, just get some help.
Here's the biggest question, I think, for someone just getting started would be like, if I were going to produce and sell one thing, what should it be? A t-shirt seems like the most obvious, but is that what y'all have seen most folks purchase most consistently?
Yes. sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I also think, you know, considering your genre, where you are, where you're playing, a koozie can be also a good item, super inexpensive. Even a super fancy koozie is inexpensive, and something you could, you know, sell or give away depending on where you're at.
I think don't overlook physical media. People buy more vinyls and CDs than they do t-shirts, in my experience.
Really?
I mean, over the long run, yeah, like if you release an album, you might sell 100 t-shirts, but you'll sell 300 albums.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that a lot of times people want that physical media above a t-shirt.
Right.
We definitely sell more units of media than we do t-shirts. Second to that, hats and koozies. Koozies are great way to support the band. They don't cost you a lot of money.
They
I
don't
buy
take up a lot of
koozies from
space
bands
because
constantly that maybe I
Yeah.
don't love that much, but I'm trying to support. And yeah, like if that's not available, I wouldn't do it.
you don't
One
say what
thing
about
that
buttons?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What about
I
those
knew-
buttons, the pins?
I
You
think
just can't make a lot of money off those.
No.
Yeah.
No, you
All
can't
right,
sell
sorry,
them
what
for
were you going to
enough.
say, Carly?
Just that I can't remember. Sorry.
I'm sorry,
I'll remember
I
in a
ruined
second.
it. Okay. One thing I'd like to do before we check out is that most of you provide a service, so I'd like you, Graham, to talk just a little bit about El Famoso and what you guys can do and how people can find you.
it's pretty hard to find us, and that's a little bit purposefully.
Okay.
We manage the e-commerce kind of portfolios for large music artists, so a lot of them
Okay.
aren't small. But we employ a ton of musicians, and a lot of us go to a ton of shows, and we make a lot of merch here in Austin and support a lot of local businesses. We also do service smaller bands. Usually kind of our cutoff is around 100 orders a month is the kind of clients that we're willing to take on.
Yeah.
But that being said, we are available for, free consultation for whatever you want. If a band calls me in Austin, I will tell them the truth about whatever I know. So if you have questions about how we do it at a large scale, I encourage you to reach out to us. You can find us on not on social media. We aren't on social media, but you can find us at our website, which is el-famoso.com, el-famoso.com. And yeah, I'm more than happy to hold anyone's hand through any questions they have, throw out recommendations for production vendors. We have a gigantic list, probably bigger than, I don't know, maybe bigger than anyone. I have thousands and thousands of t-shirts manufacturers and vinyl manufacturers that our clients have worked with and that we've worked with. If you ever want a job in a warehouse shipping music, hit us up. We do a lot of it.
Raquel, do you want to talk a little bit about Merch Gal, MG brand?
Sure. Yeah. Merch Gal is a promotional products company. I do contract screen printing that's super friendly for the independent touring artists. So if you're in California on the West Coast doing a tour and shoot, you just sold all your merch. Yeah, I can connect you. I'll handle the connection of, handling a screen printer, getting you shirts within, a day or so. That fast turnaround's really saved a lot of my clients because, you're going to sell it. It's important to have that product because without it, you're going to lose $2,000 or even $1,000 can pay those bills. Yeah, so I work with printers all over the country, Canada, UK, Europe, Australia, New Zealand. Hopefully things start back up again overseas. And as far as promotional products, I work with all the biggest manufacturers in China as well, in Mexico.
Good.
Anything you want, we can dream it up and create it.
Yeah. And Carly is in the Ghost Wolves, which are an incredible band. Is there anything you'd like to leave the people with, my friend?
Thank you. Yeah, well, besides come and check us out next time we're playing. I was gonna say, I remembered what I was gonna say was
Good.
yeah, what we've done too, if you don't have, you just have a new song and you're not, it's just one song or something, you want to release a single. You can print up some t-shirts or even do a pre-sale where you know exactly what to get printed and then offer that free download with the sale of the t-shirt. It's you get something, you get to hear the music, you get to own the music, but you get to sell a t-shirt. So you can make a little bit more money than if you were just trying to sell people the download. So that's something that we've done recently that worked pretty well. But
Well, thank
other
you.
than that, just, yeah, good luck to everybody. And this has been informative. So I've enjoyed being here. So thank you.
Yeah. Carly, Raquel, and Graham and Alex, thank you so much for joining us. This has been really helpful and really informative. I hope we were able to answer some of your questions. Once again, to find out more about the Austin Music Foundation and what the services that we provide, please go to austinmusicfoundation.org. And I'd like to thank Emily and Kate for helping me prep for this. And Adrian, I hope you get better soon. And yeah, thank you guys again for doing this. And thank you all for tuning in. And we'll be talking to you soon. Oh, also, sorry, thank you to El Famoso for co-host or for being our partners on this panel. El Famoso.
And thank you, Johnny, for
All
stepping
right.
in, and
Thank you.
shout out Adrian, because she did put in some work on this and had to miss out.
I
but
know she did.
Thank you, Adrian. And yeah, thanks everyone. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you,
nice to meet
guys.
you all. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good
All right,
one.
Nice
have
to
a
meet
good
you
night, y'all.
guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You too. Bye.